everyone, and welcome to Never Have We Ever, a podcast where we discuss a movie we just saw for the very first time. Usually a big popular one that, everyone has seen. We will talk to you about our history with the movie, why we haven't seen it before, our expectations going in, and how we ended up feeling about it. Now, normally, I am joined by my co-host, Elmo. As you can see on the image, he's supposed to be here, but he couldn't make it today. So, I am now joined by my wife. You say your name here.
Oh, Tara.
Oh, goodness. All right, well, yes, my wife Tara is joined with me today, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first movie today, The Exorcist. Now, this is directed by William Friedkin and released in 1973, so it's the 50-year anniversary this year.
So timely.
Yeah, I guess so. Sometime in December. All right, so Tara, I think we should begin with our history with this movie and why we never chose to see it, at least fully, before. So you can begin since you're the guest.
Okay. I remember, my biggest memory of, why I always thought this was, the most terrifying movie of all time that I just did not want to see was because I remember my cousins all came down to visit, one year, and I remember we were camping out in the living room, and they're all like, "Oh, we love scary movies. We love to watch scary movies and stuff." And I was 5, and I was like, "Oh, me too." And
boy.
we started watching it, and I just I remember hiding behind this jasmine pillow that I had. I specifically remember this pillow and hiding behind it for the entire movie. And I just remember her face being so frightening and scary. And that's just the image that I had. And then years later, I went to Universal and they had a horror show thing with just showing the behind the scenes and practical effects stuff that they use, animatronics and all that.
Right.
And they had her head up there on the stage, and I'm like, that's just, I don't even like it looking at me, and I know that it's fake and all that. I hated it. And then years later from then, when we went to the Halloween Horror Nights, and that was one of the houses, seeing that little Reagan 50 times throughout the house scaring me, it was terrifying. I hated it. So I was like, no, this is scary. Maybe I'll watch it with you with the lights on. I don't know. But I just, the anxiety I had before even watching it fully again as an adult, I never could do it.
Yeah, so I was, I guess kind of similar to you. I was first exposed to it when I was very young as well. I don't remember exact age, but it was my parents were watching it in the living room. And I remember walking in, of course, at just the worst parts. I guess towards the end, once it was fully taken over and Reagan's in full makeup and talking demonic and everything, and it was just very horrifying to me as a child. And I was a big wimp when it comes to horror movies for the longest time, honestly, until shortly after hanging out with you before, as we started dating and stuff. And then our friend group decided to watch horror movies and make it a recurring thing. And since we began that, gosh, over 10 years ago or about 10 years ago, really? We watched countless. There's some movies that we run into. I'm just like, did we see that? And then we start digging through. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess we saw that one. There's so many horror movies we've seen. Some amazing, some terrible. And even after all that, now that I can say I'm big into horror movies, it's up there with my favorite genres. There was still something about this Exorcist movie that I've just avoided this whole time. I know this is one of the classics. This is the big one, whatever. I just couldn't. My scarred childhood stopped me from trying to watch this film. And it's just her face is just so unsettling. And there was something about my memory of that movie that just felt real to me. And then ever since then, I just heard about how cursed the movie was and crew members dying and stuff like that, and just all these rumors and stuff, which actually some of it is true. Sadly. but yeah, so yeah, something about the just this film just made me like avoid seeing it. And then finally, when I kind of had the idea of like watching like all these older movies, like it kind of started not too long ago when I first started watching Indiana Jones with you. I never seen that movie before, and like that's like the one everyone like always freaks out about. Like, you haven't seen Indiana Jones, so it's like I was like, oh man, we should do a cast on that. So then I'm like, well, let's start with Exorcist, because I feel like as a horror buff, I should have seen it by now. So now that we've seen it, let's discuss. How do you feel now that we've actually faced our fears, faced our demons, and seen the movie? Now in 2023, as over 30-year-olds.
I don't know. We haven't said really much anything together prior to this, so.
Let me get this done out the way. Keep talking.
So I think we kind of have like differing views on it, but it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah, we haven't discussed what we thought about the film, like just barely, like briefly. So I'm interested to hear what you think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I was so afraid. And we watched it at night.
Yeah.
And
we had Elmo over.
Yeah, we did. And
our friend Brad as well.
I fell asleep.
You fell? Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then I had to watch it again the next day.
Yeah, I remember.
So, yeah, I don't know. It
is a slow burn for sure. Very, very long movie.
It was incredibly slow. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? Like one of the biggest things that I noticed?
Well, yeah, just overall thoughts of the film now that you've seen it. Like you said, you don't know why you thought it was so bad. Like what?
Yeah,
what is it? So what? You just feel like it wasn't that scary?
Yeah, it wasn't really scary. Like visually scary, yeah. If they made shorts out of it or something, if they were to redo the movie and chop out like a lot of it, I could see it being scarier just because of the way she looked, like the effects and the practical effects, especially for 1973 times. Like it was really good in that way. The story though was a little like strange to follow. I feel like there was a lot of like gaps and things that just didn't make sense. And then like you said, it was just such a slow burn. And I feel like movies that we usually watch, they seem to like build up to the monster. And this one, once we met the monster, they kept going back to her and we kept seeing her. So she was like a little bit desensitized.
What?
Desensitized?
What?
Like
Who
we
was?
were me, like I was.
Oh.
So like I wasn't really like scared of her anymore. And then it was just like, all right, there she is again. And she's really ugly.
I see what you're saying.
And
so they showed her as full demonic Reagan, like too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like it seemed like it wasn't so much about like the scariness anymore as like just, I guess, shockingly vulgar.
Yeah. It was gross, all the vomit and everything.
Yeah, and just like the things that she would like say and stuff. So
yeah,
it was
very, very different times back then. So that stuff hit hard. Like it's kind of fairly tame for us now.
Yeah.
But that was
because we've seen some crazy stuff. But then coming from a little girl who's possessed, and then just some of the things that she said, it was just like, yikes, that's bad. So I feel like it was more scary, I guess, in that, but I don't know. It wasn't really scary. Like it was scary because it was ugly and scary looking, but it wasn't a scary story anymore.
Yeah, so one of the things that Elmo and Brad, who joined us again for the film, one of the things they told us going into it, they're like, you got to keep in mind, like, this movie's old, and we have seen a lot of stuff, a lot of modern, people took what they saw, like directors and everything, took what they saw from this movie, built on it. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Like horror movies get pretty insane now. So they told me going in, and they were right. Like we're desensitized, like you said, like just us in general. we've seen so much, and this was all fairly tame compared to it. Now, yeah, so ultimately, I agree with you. It really wasn't that scary. Now that I've seen just some terrible, terrible things, but visually, I mean, still, Reagan's a
Yeah, no, that's
creepy.
Visually, yeah, it was scary looking, and her face, if she's gonna be at Halloween Horror Nights again,
Yeah,
I know that's gonna be a scary house for me, even still.
yeah,
just because of the moo or the monster.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Just being thrown into that kind of stuff scares me anyway. So it's like throwing me into the monsters and they're all around me and can walk up to me. Like, it's still gonna scare me.
Yeah, well, that's one of the special things about Horror Nights. Yeah, I mean, I did that house with you a few years back too when it was there, and of course I hadn't seen the movie, so I was just reliving my childhood nightmares there, and that was a scary house for me too. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So now that I've seen it, yeah, it's definitely very tame. But yeah, so at least when it comes to the story, like you mentioned, it was to me kind of unnecessarily long, and I'm sure that I'm just not the smartest person enough to get like all of what they were hinting at and everything, but I couldn't even tell you why Reagan got possessed in the first place. When I feel like that's kind of important. Like, I know the movie's called The Exorcist, but honestly, Reagan is the star of the show. But I know The Exorcist is there to, what's the term? Exorcise. Exorcise her from the demons and everything. But why did she get possessed? Like, I know there was the Ouija thing, and there was like that slight movement when the mom tried to reach it or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So honestly, a Ouija board is enough to explain why she got possessed.
Because it invites the bad spirits.
Right, yeah, don't be messing with that stuff. But it's like, but why Reagan specifically? Or like, and how does it tie into the beginning part of the film with, I believe it was like Iraq, and the Exorcist is up there, and they found like that statue, and then he visits like the real statue. So it's like, how did that? I assume that's the demon that got into Reagan, but that's across the world. How did this freaking spirit jump all the way to the U.S. to Washington to where Reagan's at? Like, yeah, is that like just like the spirit plane? Like, oh, the monster's released and somehow she accessed it from the Ouija board? I really don't know. There's room, although the film didn't do a good job of explaining a lot of things, it did make me interested to look more into it, and I did actually have some fun looking at like rumors and speculations of like people and how they interpreted the film. People were saying like, oh, the spirit attached to the Exorcist and went back home, and he's from the area, and somehow, I don't know.
Well, so, like, I don't know how it specifically has the tie-in to Iraq or whatever, but I mean, like, I could guess why she was the one that was possessed, because usually with those possessions, they go after the weaker bodies. Right, she was a child, and she was playing with the Ouija board, and she was talking with a spirit. So she was the one that opened that portal or whatever, and then was the one that was interacting with that spirit. I forget what name she had for him, Mr. Dude. Yeah. I don't know.
Mr. Dude. It was something like that, yeah.
She was like asking questions. Do you think mom is pretty? Or whatever.
Something like cowboy, right? Or something?
Something. I forget.
Howdy?
Mr. Howdy?
That sounds familiar. I don't know. Anyways.
But so it makes sense, like, why she was the one possessed.
And I do think that the Exorcist, the actual Exorcist itself, or the priest guy who was a psychologist, I think at one point they did mention like, oh, it attacks the weak, Yeah. So that was said, but still, the fact that we have to question it doesn't mean, at least to me, that was well told. So I don't know if the movie at the time was praised for how great the storytelling was. I'm sure it was praised for its shocking nature, yeah. the great VFX at the time, all that stuff, because it was a lot of practical stuff, like all the smoke emitting from her mouth and everything. They like put that room to like 30 degrees or something crazy to make it like really cold. So they did a lot of smart things for the film, but story wise, definitely lacking. A lot of questions I had, a lot that we can get into, but not really the point of what the cast is. I think just overall, very. This movie just wasn't exactly what I thought it was. The whole Exorcist, her being possessed, was just kind of like towards the end. Again, they did jump into it. So like the moment you get hints of Reagan being possessed, like she would just say like, "Oh, the bed's shaking or whatever. Can I sleep with you?" I was like, okay, that's a little cool hint. But like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, you actually see it happening.
Yeah.
And she's just like, flopping on the bed like a fish. So I don't know. It was very interesting. And then I was just kind of confused with like other things. Oh, I guess it's one thing to note. We saw the version you've never seen before, which is, I guess, like a director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
So I
don't
didn't hear
know
they just added a couple things, and
Yeah.
apparently in the original film it didn't have like weird cutaways to the demonic face, and in this movie they did.
Yeah.
They would just show like a quick flash of the face. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, that was The Exorcist. Any other thoughts? Any other things that you said that you wrote down? Two things. Did you mention them already?
No, not yet.
Okay. What was the other thing?
Well, the first one was that one guy that died. The first guy that like died, that was supposed to be watching her.
Oh yeah, that was all off screen.
Yeah, and then
kind of dumb.
they were saying he fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when the guy jumps out the window and he falls down the stairs, I said, like, why she got those stairs outside her room like that, though? Like,
yeah, I think someone did like the logistics of that, and like those stairs were way too far away from the house for that to be
yeah, because that's what
possible.
I was like thinking. Because like another shot, like near the steps or whatever, it was like outside, but like down a ways, like, and it was like almost like an alley, and it was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So how did he get there?
I don't know. It was odd.
I don't know. That was one thing. And then I said, where's the music? Because, like, I feel like that was a thing that really made the movie, like, draw out. Because I just remember, like, so many heightened scenes and stuff didn't have any music. And it was just completely silent. And, like, when the Exorcist and the priest guy, whatever, they were like, the body of Christ compels you, and they kept saying that over and over again. It was like completely silent, and I feel like now,
really? Oh, I
yeah,
thought there was music.
No, there was like no music that was like heightening to like anything. There was like the opening credit song and then the end credit song, and I noted the end credit song is like terrible because it's just like, I forget, it was like a screeching noise or something. It was just, yeah, it was so terrible. But yeah,
I think I remember that.
Like scary parts or whatever, I feel like music is something that really helps that, and like music makes you feel. So like anytime there's like a sad moment or a dramatic moment, it's a lot of times the music is helping with it. And there was just no music for a lot of these things or a lot of scenes with scary stuff. I don't know. I feel like some kind of in the background or something would have been better, especially for that part where they're just like, the body of Christ compels you. They kept saying it over and over and over again. It just felt like it needed some dramatic or something in it.
I gotcha. Know. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess if I can't think of what music was playing, so either like you said, it wasn't, or it was so subtle that it didn't do its job. But yeah. Interesting. It
didn't make me feel. And then it was just like, they're just yelling. It was like you're on set watching them like behind the scenes or whatever doing it, and then you're watching the scene being done without the music playing, and then usually they add the music, but they forgot to add the music.
Okay.
It was just weird silence.
Right.
But not silent because obviously they're talking, just no music. I feel like music would have added to it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, and what was your next thing?
That was it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That was my two notes. I was just
gotcha.
surprised about the stairs.
So then
everybody keeps dying on the stairs.
Yeah. Okay, so then I guess real quick before we end, because I feel like overall we sound a little kind of down on the movie just because of it really not hitting the expectations that we set when we were children. But any kind of standout parts that you kind of actually liked? Because I have a few things that I thought were neat or cleverly done, but just curious if you had any things that kind of stood out, or was it just kind of like, it was there. It's a movie.
I think Linda Blair did really well for kid actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did.
And I don't know. Like, it was good. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe once you start talking about stuff, I could
So
jump on that.
I did like the scene where you saw how, like, it only happened a couple times, at least to my knowledge, where you kind of saw that this demon is a little on the more intelligent side. Mm-hmm. So, like, with the fake holy water, remember that part?
Yeah.
Because I know I forgot what part you fell asleep or whatever, but like he threw the water on Reagan, and it hurts, it burns or whatever, and then he like leaves the room. He's like, yeah, she's faking it because like that was just tap water. Why would it burn? So this isn't proof enough to see that she's possessed. But we got the hint that he knew it was tap water, but if he acted like it burned, knowing that it actually wasn't going to burn, he would think that she wasn't possessed and leave them alone. You know, did you catch that?
I was kind of confused about that because I didn't know if she really did know that it was not holy water, but I do remember them saying that it wasn't. And then they said like what you said, but I didn't catch what you're saying.
Yeah, so the demon knew it was fake. And if he acted like it was hurting, he knew that the priest would believe that she wasn't possessed and then leave. So then he wouldn't have to do the exorcism. So if he acted like it, like if it was real, but he knew it was fake, and then the priest thought, oh, well, she's faking it because this isn't even holy water, then he'd be like, well, she's not possessed, so I'm leaving. So he acted like that on purpose. So to me, that was kind of smart. You know, kind of neat. I wish I had a little bit more of that. And then one of the things that I will say that I feel like I don't see too much in horror movies, especially when children are involved. That one specific scene, and I guess so, that one specific scene when she's, you know, if she has the crucifix and she's like stabbing herself sexually. I don't know if she was like masturbating with it or just forcefully shoving it in there. I guess so. I don't know. That's messed up, you know? And I want to say that as a positive because that is unsettling in such a different way that and we've seen a lot of possession movies. Yeah. Our friend, that's like her favorite film or horror subgenre. And I don't think I've seen that even now, you know, not to that extent. Like when you mix, like you see sexual and horror, they go hand in hand a lot, and you know that's always good or whatever. But to add a child into that is so odd and just really messed up, and shows you just how horrific this all was, and the fact that was done, I don't think distastefully in any way. It was just shocking. It nailed what it was supposed to do, and I haven't seen that. And I don't know if directors are too afraid to get into that territory. I don't think
you're ever gonna see that again, because that's just so like you don't mix that with kids,
right? And I'm just saying, like, for this movie being about to be 50 years old this year, and you know, like I said, people watch these films, they learn from it, and you know, a lot of movies are like, oh, that was just like The Exorcist, but this, or that was Exorcist, but in New York, or whatever. You know, so I haven't seen that before, so the fact that I actually saw something new and made me feel uneasy versus the rest of the movie that would normally make you feel uneasy, but didn't, just because I've seen it already. Mm-hmm. I thought that was neat.
You never saw that? You didn't know that was going to happen?
That with the crucifix? No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember. Well, yeah,
you saw
that.
some of it. Yeah.
Well,
when you were little.
I didn't see that part, but I remember like my mom mentioning it, and she was like, "That's just bad," and obviously, but I don't think that it was supposed to be a pleasurable thing. I think it was just like how sick.
Yeah.
How sick and like, I don't know, not sexual, but like just how sick the demon was, because even afterwards, like it pulled her mom down there, and she had the blood on her face.
Oh,
it was
I
nasty.
forgot about
like
that.
It
so
got
that was
raunchy, but it was like in a sickening. Not trying to be a hot thing. Like
I wouldn't.
Some movie,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, but I just mean like it was shocking in that way. Like movies try to do like sexual and creepy together, but this was taking something but not sexualizing it, just making it sick and just like shocking.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, just again, shout out to Reagan, her performance, makeup incredible, the fact that they were able to pull off those effects at that time, just very impressive. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts there on The Exorcist. I understand why it was big at the time. Get it. Reagan will always be an icon that deserves to be the face of horror at some, not like the face, but she deserves to be on the list, up there next to Freddy, next to Jason, Scream, everything. She deserves to be there. So solid film, just not as scary as I thought.
Yeah, I think that obviously you don't watch stuff like that when you're 5, so it is better that I saw it now. But I think that like I could respect it more now, and I still think it was good. It just wasn't scary in the way that I remember. She's still terrifying looking. It was still good, and I would watch it again, and I would be interested in watching the other ones, even though I heard they're bad.
Yeah,
like,
her 2 was bad, but her 3 was decent.
And then now there's like a spinoff or something.
Yeah, that was gonna be my final thing before we end.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Are you gonna watch the spinoff?
Yeah, okay. And like now I don't feel as terrified as I did because I'm like, okay, it's not that bad.
Okay.
I've seen worse. Well, I don't know, but
yeah, we've seen a lot worse. All right. Well, thank you, Tara, for joining me today. This was fun. I hope to do some more of these in the future. Hopefully Elmo can join us next time. And we just have one request from you, the audience. And that is to... You're supposed to say, keep it educated at the same time as I do. And we're going to say that.
Okay.
So, we're supposed to keep it educated.